Have you ever opened social media for just a few minutes and suddenly felt like you're falling behind in life? You see someone starting a business, someone traveling the world, someone buying their first house, someone announcing a promotion, and without even realizing it, a quiet thought appears in your mind. Everyone seems to be moving forward, except me. But here's the strange part. Most people scrolling through social media feel this way. So how can everyone feel behind at the same time? Social media creates a very specific illusion. It makes life look like a race. Every post feels like a progress update. New job, new relationship, new achievement, new milestone. When you scroll through dozens of these moments in a few minutes, your brain starts building a story that says, everyone else is progressing faster than me. But the truth is, you're not seeing people's lives, you're seeing their highlight moments. Social media compresses years of effort, struggle, and uncertainty into a few polished seconds. And when your brain compares your entire life to someone else's best moments, the result almost always feels unfair. There's a psychological reason this feeling happens so easily. Our brains are wired for social comparison. For thousands of years, humans survived by constantly measuring their position inside a group. Am I doing well enough? Am I falling behind? Am I respected? Am I safe? But our brains evolved in small communities, maybe 100 people. But now, social media exposes us to thousands of lives every day, and our brain still reacts the same way it always has. It starts comparing. But the problem is, the comparison is no longer realistic. You're comparing your normal Tuesday afternoon to someone else's biggest life moment, and your brain doesn't know the difference. What social media rarely shows is the invisible side of life, the uncertainty, the failures, the months where nothing seems to work, the quiet moments where people question everything. Every successful person you see online has experienced these moments, but those moments usually never appear in the feed, because social media rewards what looks impressive, not what looks uncertain. So over time, the platform becomes a collection of everyone's best moments stitched together into one endless highlight reel. And when you watch that reel long enough, it starts to feel like everyone else is living a better life. Another reason social media makes people feel behind is something called the timeline trap. At some point, we all absorb invisible expectations about life. By a certain age, you should have a career. By a certain age, you should have money. By a certain age, you should know what you're doing. Social media reinforces these timelines constantly. You see someone younger than you achieving something big, and suddenly it feels like you're late. But real life doesn't follow a universal timeline. People discover their direction at 20, at 30, at 40, sometimes even later. But social media rarely shows the full timeline. It only shows the moment when things finally worked. Here's the quiet truth most people don't realize. The people you think are ahead of you often feel behind too, because they're also scrolling, they're also comparing, they're also seeing someone who seems further along. This creates a strange loop. Everyone feels like they're chasing something, but nobody feels like they've arrived. Social media isn't necessarily the problem, but the way our brain interprets it can be. When you remember that you're seeing moments, not entire lives, something changes. the pressure starts to fade, because life isn't actually a race. It only feels like one when you're watching everyone else's highlights. And sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is step away from the race entirely and focus on the path you're already walking.